So I'm just going to create a new camera here from this point of view that I've found. So control click on the camera, and then you can copy in those values if you want it to be exactly the same there. Okay, and then just delete this, the other camera there. Okay, and then let's go in. I'm just going to adjust the animation on this helicopter a bit. Okay, so this will be 11.47 115, just so it's you know, a little closer to my original sim. 0.36. Make sure I get this fairly accurate. Again, as I said, you know, it will affect the simulation quite a bit. 36.5 in the rotation around the x-axis. What have we got there? Minus 64.36 around the y, and then around the z, 46.05. Okay, perfect. And then over to frame 15. Okay, so changing this, so 17.97, 97.13, 29.83, minus 154. What have I got? 15. This one minus 69.63. 63, and then 165.43. Oh, upside down. Oh, no, it's not upside down. Okay, perfect. All right, so that will, you know, since we've already got keyframes there, we don't need to make them again. Okay, so you can see that we get a bit of kind of curving in. Let me just double check those. Yeah, make sure they're all straight. Perfect. Okay, and then I'll time shift this. So running a bit slow there. Let me hide that building. And then, yeah, let me time shift this to the end of that animation. So that will be the beginning of the simulation. All right, so delete the channel on the time shift and set that to frame 15. There we go. And before that, let's drop a time. Oh no, sorry, a trail. That's it, because we need that velocity for the simulation for the first frame, right? So trail, that's going to be giving us a load of geometry there. You can see. So set this to compute velocity, and that will transfer across here. So we'll have not the normals, the velocity there, which all just double checking looks good. Okay, following the spin and the direction of the helicopter as well. Good. And then yeah, so like I said, we've got loads of polygons here. So I'm going to poly reduce the whole thing down. Okay, press escape on that. I'm going to drop this down to 10%. There we go. So as you can see, especially from our, you know, the camera I just made, it's fine. But we've got, well, we'll have 10% more or less, 120,000 points, so not too bad. Let's, yeah, we'll get the helicopter ready for simulation before starting work on the building, I think. So we need RED constraints from rules. So I'll build some constraints. I'm not going to fracture this up, but we may come back and do that. But yeah, I'm not going to bother kind of cutting into it, because it's, you know, it's in lots of pieces already, especially in terms of details. If I did want to fracture, it would be the big body pieces. But you know, it's okay for the moment. Some weird thing going on there. There's no points up there. So, you know, it should be fine. It's just kind of miscalculating the centroid, I think. But, you know, if it causes a problem and there as well, we'll solve that, you know, when we see it. It looks weird now, but, you know, I'm not going to stress out about it. So let's call these constraints heli. We'll do surface point, so that should fix that problem. Okay, so we have lots and lots of constraints there. We want constraint properties, so abd constraint properties. Always need properties on your constraints. So again, on that, well, we don't really need the group, so we've only got one thing here, but why not? Let's give this a color. Maybe, yeah, we'll do blue. Doesn't matter really. I want glue constraints. I want these to break pretty easily. And propagation iteration. So, you know, if I haven't explained that before, when there's an impact at the front, then, you know, if we only have one and one of these, then that impact will be localized here with propagation iterations, and the rate that controls how far into the geometry that impulse is felt, right? So, you know, when this crashes, you know, a helicopter crashing into a building, really the whole helicopter is going to be destroyed, right? So that's what we want. So yeah, that has quite a big effect. And you have values on the solver itself, I think, or on the constraint solver, but it can be done per constraint as well. So that's good. And then we want to switch these to soft constraints, so we get a bit of bending. Let's bring down the stiffness and more damping, so they, you know, we don't want it to be springy, just kind of bendy, and make it allowed to bend very easily as well. Okay, so that's good. Let's configure this. Okay, and so we're going to have parts of the building which are not active. So I'm going to make sure everything else is active, so it has that active attribute. If I turn that off, then it will, you know, the attribute just won't be on there. And then we could, oh yeah, take a look at the physical attribute. So it's metal, well, predominantly metal. Let's make it pretty dense, so it kind of pushes into the building quite a bit. Okay. So that's pretty much it, I think. And then we'll pack this up. Connect that up there. Okay, and then null at the bottom, so out. You could cache this as well if you want, I'm not going to bother. Out heli for sim. And then I'll copy this, and then up here, just after the trail, yeah, just after the trail, we want, oh, it's going to run through all that again. Even though it's only a null, it's, you know, identifying this as a change upstream, so it runs through all that again, which is a bit annoying. Out heli, let's say animation, so anim. Okay, and just to make sure that we've done everything here correctly, let's run that. And then we'll just drop it into a quick simulation. Let's run through the poly reduce again. There we go, and the rest shouldn't be too. Oh. There's something about these multi-input nodes. Once you get an error, you have to go through each one, which is a bit frustrating. There we go. Yeah, so let's just do a quick abd unpack, just for now, just to make sure there's no kind of big errors. And then abd bullet solver. And then, you know, this is going to fly out sideways, so maybe I'll put like the ground plane up to the side. We don't have, well, we don't need to plug that in actually. We don't have any proxy geometry here, right? So, well, maybe what I'll do, yeah, I'll do that because we will have proxy geometry for the other pieces. So we'll make sure that we have proxy geometry everywhere. So we'll do that. Okay, and then let's just grab a ground. Let me just see the velocity. Can I see it? No. Let's see. let's go into the camera. I know which way the helicopter's going from the camera. Kind of going that way. So if I turn the ground plane like that, yeah. Okay, so helicopter should smash into it. Fingers crossed. I haven't done this test before, so let's see. Oh, I don't want 15 frames. I want more, probably. I don't know. 100. I won't do all of them. Okay, so things to make note of, you know, the rotors aren't spinning there because obviously they're locked in place on the first frame by the constraints. But don't worry, because they're going to be, you know, the first frame in our simulation, they're going to be hitting the building, so we don't need to worry about that. Also, definitely we need the soft constraints to break easier, which is controlled within this solver, so we'll take care of that later. I just wanted to see that, you know, it's working, nothing else we need to fix at the moment. So it will just be, this won't be our final solver, so I'll get rid of it now. But, you know, we just need to drop this down so they break easier. So let's just get rid of that and that. Back out here, and then we'll work on the skyscraper.